on VIP TV, a man who's been on a few times, but today we've always got a reason to bring Carl Greaves to the show, but we've got a real reason today. The smile tells it all. Carl, congratulations on David Avanesyan's win against Josh Kelly over the weekend. I mean, it went exactly as you said. Tell us your emotions a couple of days after we saw the hugs in the ring. How do you feel this morning?
Yeah, I'm just ecstatic, Steve. I'm over the moon, mate. It's been a long time coming, Ante. Over 2 years, that fight's been on and off. It's been very, very frustrating. We never thought the fight was going to happen at one stage, but we dug deep and dug our heels in because I always fancied that fight. I really did. Like, as you have spoke before, I was so confident, and I was determined to get the fight over the line, and Neil kept plugging away. Was in negotiations with Eddie, and we finally got the fight on after all the ups and downs. So I'm over the moon. I'm more happy for David than anything else because the man works so hard. He leaves all his family back home in rush to come over to England, and even me being away from my family in the bubble for a few days, it's tough. So God knows what it's like for David. And when I was fighting, I could never leave my family. I always had to stay local. That's probably never why I reached the top, to be honest. But no, he sacrifices a lot to come over here.
Yeah, I've been around you a long time, Carl. I've had a few nights with you after you've won fights. So how did you all celebrate Saturday night in the hotel afterwards? Because you couldn't have gone to a nightclub, which you would have done if you could.
Yeah, it was a bit frustrating, Steve, because obviously David had to have his VADA and then the other UK drug testing. So was waiting around for a bit like that. And then Neil Marsh, David's manager, wanted to get us a load of food and everything. So he went back, ordered a load of food. I think he said he spent £300 on food. And he was ringing us about 1 a.m. We were still at the venue. And then we realised that David had a great big gash in the top of his head. It was leaking blood and it was really deep. And the doctor just must have given him a quick look over while he was having his interview. Because I remember him coming over when he had his Sky interview saying, just have a quick look at you, David, before you go on air. And he didn't notice this cut on top of his head. And obviously, once he'd done all his drug testing, when we was waiting around, the paramedic come in and noticed it and looked, said, David, he said, you're going to need treatment on that. So David and Eric Timor went to hospital to have it all glued up. Neil was ringing him, where are you? Come on, I've got all this food here. We're waiting for you. So we went back and it had nearly all gone by the time we got back. There was no bar there, no drink or anything. So I think Umar from IFL TV had a few cans in his room and that, where I never drink beer. I've never had a beer in my life. I just drink like a Southern Comfort or a vodka, you know what I mean? I like sweet drinks. So he had a little bottle of Prosecco, like champagne stuff. So I was drinking that. So it wasn't really much of a celebration. In fact, at one stage, I was drinking half a pint of milk that was in the fridge. I was that dry. It was crazy. But we had a good natter, all the team. We had a bit of a sing-song. David walked back in after he'd come away from hospital and was all giving it the Champiani song, you know what I mean? Was having a right crack. But we made the most of it. But it wasn't the normal celebration.
In the corner, what was going through your mind during, say, the first 3.5 rounds? Because look, Kelly was very, very good then. You know, I'll be honest. I've said it last week on the pod. I wouldn't have a penny on the fight. But after 3.5 rounds, I was watching it with my wife, and even my eldest daughter got into watching the fight. It was that good. And I was saying, oh God, so, you know, I wanted a bit of success for you, and I said to my wife, Kelly just looks $1 million tonight.
I knew, listen, Steve, let me tell you, mate, I knew exactly how that fight was going to plan out. Honestly, I really did. People think I'm crazy talking like this, but it went exactly to plan just a little bit earlier. I knew that Kelly had come out, look, $1 million, made David look bad at times, but he just can't sustain it. And my tactics was, once he's done his work, David, he wants to go away and have a rest. Don't let him breathe. You heard me in the corner. Don't let him breathe. Get on him. Why he's doing his flash stuff, coming at you, letting his hands go, then he's going on the back foot, you know what I mean, to have a rest. That's when you've got to work. And I've seen it time and time again, these kids, they can look great with David in patches and make David look bad, but he'll always find a way. That's why I was so confident. And I've studied Kelly more than any other fighter I've ever studied in my life, because it's been that long, this fight going on. And I just knew how he boxed. I just knew he couldn't sustain it. He looked far better on the scales. It was the best camp he's ever had. It was the greatest he's ever looked in the gym. I was hearing all that, but it never fazed me one bit, because I just knew that he would not be able to sustain it. If he could sustain the way he boxed in the first couple of rounds, he'll be the next Floyd Mayweather. He'll be a superstar, but he can't. Whether it's down to, obviously he's not had the experience, so it's obviously a lack of. Hello?
Hello, mate, that's better. You were talking about lack of experience.
Yeah, so whether it's a lack of experience or he's just going to be one of them fighters that just can't do it. He's a superstar in the amateurs, a great amateur boxer, but not every class amateur or top level amateur can make it in the pro game. And he might be one of them fighters. He's got it all there, but he just can't sustain it. He can't keep you off, and he don't like pressure. And that is the difference. David's an ardent, seasoned man, and I just knew how it was going to pan out, that fight. I really did.
So, well, where are you now promotionally wise? Has Eddie got options? Are you with Match? Is he with Matchroom, David?
Yeah, he's got a free fight deal. I mean, I spoke to Neil, and well, we had a good chat a few times actually in the bubble, and the actual free fight deal started with the Del Rio fight. So Josh was his second fight with Matchroom. We've got one more left. So let's just see what they bring to the table. I mean, it could be another European title defence, or it could be a massive fight. I think the way Eddie was talking and how impressed he was with David, I think he really thinks that he deserves, well, he doesn't think, he knows he deserves another massive fight.
I mean, I think it was Neil I might have seen on Twitter, Neil Marsh, David's manager, and he was mentioning the Khan fight, but realistically, Khan's not going to take that fight for the money he's looking for, is he?
No chance. I mean, listen, what about somebody like Adrian Broner or Sean Porter, them sort of names? You know what I mean? Let's get it on. I mean,
imagine Broner coming over here, selling it, trashing everyone, threatening to chin you all at the weigh-ins.
This would be amazing, wouldn't it? I mean, David boxed on the same bill as him when David boxed Peterson, so they know each other. You know what I mean? He knows all about David. He might fancy the job after that, but after the Peterson fight. But I've said before, David's a different animal from them days now. I mean, that was, what was that, 2 or 3 years ago? Probably over 3 years ago, that fight with Peterson. So yeah, he's a different animal now, and you've seen it the way he's performing. He's just got this newfound confidence and this new belief. And since the Kowalski's defeat, he's a different person.
So tell us about, because a lot of it, obviously, because there's the language barrier for the media in this country. What's he like as a person? What different traits has he got? Has he got anything, different about him away from boxing? What is he like when he turns up in the gym in the morning? I mean, in the changing room afterwards. Just tell me, what he's like. We know how good a fighter he is, but what sort of bloke is he? I mean, because we see a lot of these Russians, and they always have this sort of superiority complex, don't they? A lot of Russians. Does he have a bit of that about him?
I tell you what it is with David, he's the most laid-back character I've ever met. I mean, the training David's the easy part for me, but people don't realise what job I've got on with David when he comes to England. He lives with another Russian family, so that's a little bit better for me now. He's not in the hotel no more where he used to be, so he's got people around him that helps him a little bit more and what have you. But I have to pick him up. He's always late coming out. I'm telling you, 10-15 minutes. I'm waiting for him some mornings. Comes trotting out. We get to the gym. It's a little bit slow to get going. As a warm up, and it's a thorough warm up. You know what I mean? It's not just like the English did. They come in, grab a rope, do a bit of shadow straight into it. It's like 15-20 minutes of loosening off, stretching. He's got his own little routine. And then he bandages up, and then I tape his hands every session. He's got to have a good solid hand. And then we do the training, an hour and a half session. Most of the time in the mornings is the boxing. And then it was stretch him out, Then he goes and has his shower, and then I take him back home. And then it's a right job for me. You know what I mean? It's very, very hard work. And luckily, this fight come at a very, very good time because I've got no promoting on. I ain't got many kids out. I'm not really doing much from the other fights, just ticking over. So it was perfect timing. I put so much into this fight. My heart and soul went into this fight, probably more than any other fight ever. And it paid dividends, you know what I mean? It worked off. But it's hard. And then obviously he don't really know anybody. So if he wants to go anywhere, I have to take him. And you know what I mean? He's massaging and his VO2 maxing testing, and we're driving miles. It's a right camp, you know what I mean?
You sound like a dad who's divorced from his wife and has to take his son everywhere.
You heard him on his interview at the end. I mean, he obviously couldn't get it all out, but he was saying on the interview, obviously he knows what I do for him and what we go through, you know what I mean? And he respects me so much for it. And he at the time, you're pulling your hair out, looking at your watch, thinking, come on, David, hurry up. But listen, that's just the way it is. I've had over 5 years with him now. I know how he works. If I tell him 10 o'clock, he'll come plodding out at 20 past 10. You know what I mean? If I tell him 9:30, he'll come out at 10 to 10. You know what I mean? That's just how he is. Listen, not everybody will deal with it or probably cope with it, but listen, I know how it works. And nights like that on Saturday night makes it all worth it, honestly. Neil knows what I go through, and he's seen it. He knows how David is. He's been there with him himself. You know what I mean? He brought him over before I started working with him. He knows how David is as a person. But what a fighter, mate! What a fighter.
Where does that rank? I mean, you had some good nights in the ring. When you were boxing, there was the other night. Where does Saturday night rank in your nights in boxing since the first day you walked into a gym as a little boy in Newark?
You know what? It was a massive fight. Like I've said before, it isn't the biggest fight I've been involved with, obviously mainly with David. I mean, you've got to remember he's got Shane Mosley, Peterson. He's been all over the world, been in some big cards with massive crowds. I mean, Kermel Jaraga, 12,000 screaming fans in Bilbao all against him. It was unbelievable, you know what I mean? The animosity, the intensity but pressure-wise, it was one of the biggest fights I've been involved with. Being in that bubble all week, interview after interview, photos, media, it was unbelievable. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it was very, very satisfying because I was up against one of the so-called top elite trainers in the world, and you know what I mean. And all eyes was all mainly Adam Booth about what he's going to do, and he's a tactician and he's the main man. But listen. People forget I've been around, Steve. You know what I mean? I've been in the trenches with fighters. I know what it's like to deal with a fighter that's having it all against him. I've been around, mate. I've seen it all. People forget that. I've learned the trade the hard way. You know what I mean? I've never been given Olympic champions, ABA champions. I've brought kids through the hard way. You know what I mean? I've seen what it's like on the road. I mean, even all my success, 90% of it has come in the away corner. I've had every champion from area level, from area English, British, Commonwealth, Intercontinental, International, European, world. And 90% of that success has come as an away trainer, manager, whatever. It's unbelievable. And I think it's about time I started getting a bit of credit and respect, you know what I mean? Because people forget what I've gone through.
People forget you as an amateur, going all them trips with Belly, Stevie Bell and all them, you know, we're going back a long way. You know, we're going back to the pre-2000. I remember you was in the amateur squads with Stevie Bell in the England squad.
Against the American captain, everyone was like, this geezer's a top geezer. Every time he comes over to Jersey from America, he's bashing kids up. I was a young, fresh-faced 17-year-old on a squad with lads I never really even knew, and boxed out my skin. And to be honest with you, got ripped off on a split decision against that Richie Mason there. And Ballas will tell you, you know what I mean? Everyone said I was up against it. But listen, forget that. 1988, I first walked into a boxing gym. I've never, ever been out of gym And what we're in now, 2021, you know what I mean? I live, breathe, eat the sport, you know what I mean?
I know, yeah.
I've seen it all. And I always giggle to myself when you hear about these elite trainers, these top coaches. Listen, give me a load of Olympians, ABA champions, see what job I can do with them. I'll do the same job, if not better than they've done, because I know the game. I know what it's like in the trenches. I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt. These elite trainers, when the going gets tough, they're not used to it. They don't know how to deal with the pressure. They're always used to winners. When it's going against them, they can't cope.
Carl, I can't thank you enough. I know you've got a few more interviews to do, and you're speaking to my great pal Mick Costello in a little while of 5 Live. So I'll let you go, Carl, and you can get yourself revved up for all these interviews you've got today. Now
adrenaline's still going, Steve, unless you didn't already know.
Hey, now you're Billy Big Banana. You're going to still talk to people like me and Lee Hogan and Steve Wood.
I've been at the bottom of the mountain. I'm getting a little bit higher now, and I'll never ever forget my roots, mate. You know me.
Lee Hogan, who works for Woody?
Yeah, lovely fella, yeah.
He told me you'll never speak to him again. But there you go. He reckons you'll now go right big time on him now.
Nice one, Steve. Listen, thanks, mate.
Thank you, mate. You take care and enjoy your interviews today. And you know, while you're getting all the attention, enjoy it, mate.
Yeah, that's it, mate. I need an holiday, mate. We need to get back on track.
Tell me about it. I think we're going to be locked into August. I think Boris is going to lock us in till August for holidays, mate. Then you can you like a bit of Butlins though with Tommy McDonough. So
yeah, every New Year we have the crap, mate.
Yeah.
It's all right. He's a good lad, him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice one, mate.
Take care.
Thank you.
You're
Cheers.
a top man.
Bye-bye.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.